It would appear to me at this point in time that Koumei has gotten a sort of mixed reception among the Warframe community. Some of you guys love her, some of you are really not fond of the fact that the third ability has you gambling on your life. Yeah, part of this video is going to detail a build I made for Koumei that is supposed to be for endurance runs, but the longest I've gone is about 2 hours of Steel Path Alchemy, so I guess it still needs a bit of work. The real star of today's content is actually going to be the Kuva Chakur. Why? Did they buff the damn thing somewhere in the last couple of updates or something? Not really. I just got this neat little ribbon from someone named Tenno on Discord. She was kind enough to lend me this thing for the purposes of making a video on it. Totally not forced in any way or anything. After all this time, this thing still looks quite erect to me. And no, I'm not exactly pleased. I didn't want to spend a plat on a skin just for this video either. I know, I'm probably too far gone and absolutely do require the services and assistance from John. I mean, with a ribbon like this, how could you say no, right? I believe this is supposed to be on loan. I mean, I might forget to give it back. This build does feature the recently added semi-rifle cannonade mod. I can't think of a weapon that would make better use of this than the Chakur. That is, if you can tolerate the low fire rate. I've also got primed fast hands on because a reload speed of over 3 seconds was just too much for me, and I was getting into bad situations waiting for Koumei to flip the Chakur up and over, down and under in order to just load some friggin' bullets. Of course, you could compensate for the fire rate and reload speed deficiencies through other means and stack on even more damage mods. I should say this build works best if you're comfortable with aiming down sights and are able to consistently deal headshots. It's pretty fun once you get a rhythm going. With that said, good luck finding a head in this sort of mess. The amount of colors and particles I see on screen just makes me feel like I'm going to inflict diabetes on my eyes, if that makes even the slightest sense. Anyways, even without the ribbon, the Kuva Chakur still destroys high-level Steel Path enemies, so it's well worth trying to obtain and build one. Even so, be warned, the time and resource investment is probably not for the light of heart. Unlike Greedman Gaming. Sorry for the interruption, guys. Yeah, ads suck, especially on YouTube, but how about a helpful recommendation? I bet you all buy your games on Steam, which is great, but what if there's a way to get those games and some free stuff on the side? Well, all you gotta do is just buy them on Greedman Gaming, where even if you get something at full price, you'll still receive benefits in the form of XP, which is part of their loyalty program. All the Steam keys sold here are also sourced directly from the publishers, so no middlemen or scammy nonsense. I've also found that sometimes there's better deals here than on even Steam. Not to mention that a portion of any money spent on Greedman Gaming does go towards ecosystem restoration initiatives, which is pretty cool to see. It's kinda nice to know that your dollar would go further than just ending up in some OnlyFans Thoughts bathtub. So the next time you're thinking about buying games, it's probably worth checking out Greedman Gaming through the links in the description. Even just clicking on them to see what's on sale today does help out the channel a lot.
Please note that for adblock users, the links in the description may get flagged. Do not be alarmed. Your internet history is safe. Purchases made on the site are recorded solely for the purposes of crediting the channel appropriately. It helps Mello afford time for the month.
So yeah, feel free to whitelist and save those links, save yourself some money, and get gaming today. Alright, with the big erect stick out of the way, let's take a look at our girl Koumei. After trying out several different builds, this one seemed to work the best for me. Stuff like Thermal Sunder and Silence subsumed in place of Kumihimo was neat at first, but I found out that for Steel Path Alchemy in Trotty Labs, I required some form of enemy armor reduction to go along with a survivability strat, so I've settled with Hildren's Pillage for now. By the way, the Shattering Frost Decree that you can get with Koumei combos nicely with Thermal Sunder if you were to go that route. The idea here is to build up a layer of protection with Pillage while also nerfing the enemy's armor. This is especially helpful against the Rogue Necromex. Combo that with Arcane Aegis and Fast Deflection, this setup should perform better than, say, Catalyzing Shields and Fast Deflection. At least that's how I felt after having tried both. I couldn't really get the latter to work right with the shield amount and whatnot, and also felt kind of overwhelming to constantly look at the shield bar, among other things, in order to not get nuked by a stray Arcocanid. Rolling Guard is here to help cover Koumei's ass when Omamori decides that it is not going to make that spicy Necromech grenade by your feet suddenly feel pleasant instead at any point in time during a high-level Steel Path mission. Timed Redirection is here to help maximize the invulnerability phase of shield gating. With that said, this and Archon Flow would be the two mods I'd look to replace first if I'd wanted to tweak this setup. Also, Arcane Resistance might seem redundant, but I just wanted complete immunity to the Toxin status, seeing as how it bypasses shields, and even one tick is enough once the enemies are at like really high levels, and I just wanted one less thing to worry about. Throughout testing these weapons and the Kome setup, I realized a few things. First of all, you're probably going to want a fast-firing secondary to complement the Chakor and deal with stuff like Wardens, the Snake, and basically cleaning up after other people's failed science experiments. I used the Tenet Diplos, which I've kind of rediscovered while trying to make this video. It is actually quite nice. And for the melee, I brought the Nami Skyla Prime, which helped to quickly get rid of acolytes. I mean, the Chakor can do it, but the absolute clusterfish of enemies sometimes makes it difficult to line up a clear shot, let alone a headshot. As I mentioned before, 2 hours of Steel Path Alchemy was about the longest I was able to go, partly due to shortage of time, but yeah, I feel like the setup could do with a bit more tweaking, but it's probably more than enough for stuff like Steel Path Circuit, which is one of the few game modes where extended sessions are actually reasonable, in my opinion. I want to close out the video with some thoughts on Kome, specifically the decrees. Sure, there's a few that are very powerful and can easily turn the tide of battle, others may be less than desirable, like the parkour one, some people find that annoying, but building for or centering your setup on a single decree is probably not the right move. Sounds kinda obvious, I know. It's kind of like deck building with trading card games. When I was a lot younger interested in Pokemon, I built this deck to play with friends, and while it was cool to show off the fact that I had a stack full of every legendary and its evolutions, it made little sense for when actually playing. You probably don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're waiting on one specific decree to pop before you can get cranking with the damage output. So if you're not having a great time with Kome, maybe changing your approach would help, as I don't see DE changing how Omikuji works to be similar to the way decrees are selectable in Deviri. But who knows? If Kome doesn't receive the levels of engagement that DE expects to see, then we might see buffs the same way Gauss kinda got buffed a couple of weeks or pretty shortly after he was introduced into the game. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Please do consider checking out the links in the description for cool, fun surprises. No, it's just different funnels to give me money. I'd still appreciate it very much though. Otherwise, have a good day guys. Cheers.